My jumper has something scary on today, which is very fitting for this video because it's about something scary. Less scary, more kind of funny, no scary. Yeah, bad. Hey Spuds, what's up? It's Jamie, welcome back to another video. Your first video on the channel, I don't know, but welcome either way. I'm just getting over a cold, so I may sound slightly nasally still. How are we all doing? You doing good? Yes, great, amazing. I think this is a video for the new year, so welcome to 2023. That sounds weird to say, it's not even been Christmas yet. Today we are looking at something we've not looked at before. It is an app that is not very nice to trans people and other people, and an app that is not very inclusive. I think I'm a little late to this train. I've heard about it and I've known of the existence of this app that we're going to be talking about for quite a while, and I don't know why I didn't think about talking about it in a video before, but here we are today. Is there really such a thing as too late? I don't think so. It's still kind of relevant. So today we are here to talk about an app that was created by women for women as a safe space. Nothing wrong sounding about that, right? About this app, Giggle brings a new dimension to your social media and networking experience. Join the growing community of women for conversation, connection and fun. Made for women by women. Connect on Giggle about the latest issues, politics, gossip, news and more. Promote your business and or yourself. Find accommodation and roommates. Connect privately to discuss your most intimate thoughts, all with mutual consent. Talk freely, just females. And this is maybe where it starts going downhill. A female social media and networking platform. Okie dokie. Well, this app uses facial recognition to determine if users are actually women or not, aka to determine if they are women enough to use the app. You take a photo, you submit the photo on the app, AI analyzes your photo and determines if yes you're a woman or no you are not a woman, and if you are determined to not be a woman by this software, then access to the app is denied. If you are determined to be a woman, then you are allowed in and to use the app. What could possibly go wrong? The app pretty quickly got backlash for excluding women that did not fit some kind of ideal femininity stereotype or were not deemed feminine enough by the software. It's also reported that the AI software used in the facial recognition was known for misgendering women of colour. Artificial intelligence like the one used by Giggle has a history of issues around race. Giggle has also faced criticism for failing to recognise faces that don't appear to be white. AI company used to make sure males don't join comes from the company Kairos, which is responsible for misgendering women of colour, among other unsavoury instances of bias. In the 2019 report, a researcher at the MIT Media Lab found that the technology misgendered darker-skinned women 22.5% of the time. So the backlash was multifaceted. Some cis women were being categorised as men, some trans women were being categorised as men, and many women of colour were being categorised as men. Not every time, of course, but frequently enough to raise a lot of eyebrows. An app made by women for women should surely include all women, yes, or at least be doing everything it can to make sure that all women are included and feel included, regardless of masculinity, femininity, or race, or regardless of whether that woman is trans or cis. I wanted to read out a few of the reviews from people who had issues with the facial recognition and the discrimination of the app. Truly awful. This app is truly awful. An awful design, awful execution, an awful concept. And then the beginning bit is about how just terrible the app is generally. Then, the face recognition software is fundamentally flawed, as not all women have stereotypical feminine features and not all men have no feminine features. This makes this software practically useless and a gimmick. There have also been multiple reports from users of the face recognition not working on black people, which further insinuated an extremely flawed face recognition software. Very disappointing to see. I am so sorry. Platform for hate and discrimination. Incredibly disappointed as an LGBT plus woman to come across such disgusting transphobia on that app. The owner said they welcome all those with differing opinions, but opinions should not extend to slurs and pure hate against a minority. Reporting does nothing either. A women's app shouldn't even include talking about and hating on trans people. All things wrong. Says it's an app for women only, but it's only for white cis women, so it's racist, transphobic, and just messed up. It reportedly launched in 2020, and after receiving backlash about the exclusion of women of colour and trans women, the CEO and founder of the app wrote a blog post and decided to call it I Guess I'm a TERF Then. In the blog post, she claimed that she was being labelled a TERF because she wanted to help one gender. This would not have you labelled a TERF, unless of course you're excluding trans people of that gender. She also claimed that Giggle welcomed transitioned trans women. I have no idea how she or the app or the facial recognition or anything determined how transitioned a trans person was. What was determined to be a transitioned trans woman, I do not know. But she claimed that they were included. But she also stated that there's a category for gender identity on the app because she wants to provide a private space for biological females at the start of their gender identity journey, stating that they're vulnerable and need to connect with others. I don't know what she means by this. Now, I don't know about you, but this does read as very confusing, and I feel like there's multiple different ways to interpret this, depending on what she meant by the different phrases used. It's just a bit confusing, but none of the interpretations that I can think of are great, in my opinion. I don't know what you're thinking right now. On one hand, she could actually mean trans women when she's mentioning transitioned trans women, and then she could be talking about trans men or AFAB non-binary people when talking about biological females, which would explain why she's mentioned that there's a gender category. But then, if she's allowing trans men and non-binary people on the platform, then it's not a woman-only platform, is it? And then if she's also saying that trans women are welcome, then it's not an app based on assigned birth sex either. So what is it? The other interpretation I could think of is that she's gotten mixed up between trans men and trans women, and when she says transition trans women, she's actually talking about trans men. This option sounds viable as it's all one sentence when she says the following. This is despite the fact that Giggle does welcome transition trans women, and we have a category for gender identity, as I would love to be of help to provide a private and secure place for biological females who are beginning their gender identity journey, who are vulnerable and who need to connect to help each other. Basically, doing what I can to help within the concept of creating a female-only space. Reading that out loud again, and particularly that last bit and the kind of views that are coming across from the CEO, make me veer towards the idea that when she says transition trans women, she's actually talking about trans men, and that this app is for anyone with an assigned sex of female, and she's including trans men in that. But then if she does mean trans men when talking about transitioned trans women, how would she expect them to get on with the facial recognition software? I don't know. And the app's policy has been updated since this blog post was written, and it has been updated to strictly be labelled as an app just for females, saying a female-only space is an area reserved for females. Giggle is an online female-only space for females aged 16 plus. It is an environment for females to connect in a single-sex ecosystem free from the misogynistic abuse and interruptions often experienced on unisex online platforms. It could be either theory, it could be neither. I really don't know. I don't think any option seems that great or trans-inclusive in my opinion, and it really does just seem kind of pretty shitty regardless and all round really. The app and the creators seem to be completely disregarding the fact that trans women are women, and they are women who face misogynistic abuse both in real life and online, and absolutely deserve and need to be included in women's spaces. And she's also seemingly disregarding the fact that trans men are men. Anyway, I'm just generally confused by what she was trying to say there, and the exact like black and white trans stance, trans inclusion versus exclusion that app has, but it does definitely sound that in some way or another, right from the beginning, the app has excluded or segregated trans people in one way or another. And as a little side note, potentially sounds like there was a hope or aim of kind of putting trans men in an environment to dissuade them from transitioning. That's what it sounds like. I'm not saying that's for definite, but that's just what it sounds like. You know, the bit that says, I would love to be of help to provide a private and secure place for biological females who are beginning their gender identity journey, who are vulnerable and who need to connect to help each other. That just reads a bit off to me. Let me know what you think. Thank you. The rest of the article is like sympathizing with JK Rowling. It's got false claims about how TERFs basically are represented in the media, and like straw man arguments about what leads people to actually call somebody a TERF or transphobic. I also couldn't see on this 2020 blog post anywhere where she addressed the racial bias in the facial software used on the app and the excluding of women of colour from the app based on this. That just didn't seem to be addressed at all. Then, earlier this year, or last year, earlier this year for when I'm filming it, but basically at the beginning of 2022, Giggle hit headlines again, and the CEO seemed to have some stronger opinions around trans people. And actually her stance on trans people using the app has kind of turned into just like a black and white exclusion of trans women. A decision that the CEO claims to have made in light of backlash around the app being trans exclusionary. Seems like an odd response. Your app's trans exclusionary. Okay, yeah, and I'm going to make it even clearer that we are. The issue, however, has gone beyond the platform's questionable AI practices. The CEO, who has embraced being called a TERF, trans exclusionary radical feminist, told Insider that she decided to exclude trans women from the platform once trans activists began using it. This time around, she said that Giggle is a female-only app that excludes males, and being male is the only categorization for exclusion. Giggle is a social networking app for females. Males excluded from the user base. There is no other specific demographic that excludes from the app other than males. Based on some of the other things that the CEO has said, I think it's pretty safe to assume that this does mean that trans women are categorized as males and are therefore excluded. Yay! Ooh. And this was confirmed by her in another statement, where when asked if trans women are encouraged to join Giggle, she said, "No males are encouraged to join Giggle." That seems pretty clear to me that she sees trans women as males. But based on this and her opinions and everything, it does kind of feel like trans men would be included, and then I don't know where non-binary people would fall within this inclusion, exclusion. I mean, I certainly don't want to be included in this kind of thing. Exclude me, okay? It's really ironic because by being transphobic in trying to create a woman-only space, she is literally not creating a woman-only space. Trans men are men. You can't have a woman-only space that includes trans men, and you can't be an inclusive women's space by excluding any type of woman or having software that accidentally or deliberately excludes any type of woman. Cis women, women of colour, trans women. You cannot exclude any woman from a woman-only space and not expect to be called out for it. I mean, you can do it, but you will get called out for it because it's a bit shitty. She did at this point though state that women of every race are welcome on the Giggle app, but this still doesn't change that the app was found to misgender women of colour nearly a quarter of the time. That's a lot, and just claiming that you do not want women of colour to be excluded from the app isn't really good enough when you're using software that was shown in 2019 in a report to have a racial bias, and you're using it in an app that was released in 2020. I would definitely be looking into that if that was my app. Then unsurprisingly, it sounds like the actual content of this app is just full of transphobia and the users are very transphobic. Sounds a bit like Mumsnet but with facial recognition? I don't know. This transphobia on the app was reported by a trans woman who was actually on the app, who was then tweeted about by another Giggle user who tagged the CEO in this tweet, and they were described as transgressing women's boundaries by using the app. The CEO replied to this tweet saying "sorted" with a heart emoji. Then, surprise, surprise, the trans woman's Giggle app stopped working. You can also see the general attitude of at least some of the users based on the positive reviews left for the app. This app is great. It's designed for females only, unlike all the rest who prioritize trans-identifying males. I can say with a high degree of certainty that the people who give negative reviews are males LARPing as lesbians who are unhappy at not getting through the security despite months of HRT. Just ignore them and come join in. See for yourself. That's gross. What the... An app just for women. It's so nice to have an app just for real women. Big respect to the creators of it for standing their ground. No boys allowed. Hashtag women's rights. Thank you to the owner for refusing to bend the knee when they tried to smear this app for being female only. So that's just a little history and background on this app and some of the CEO's opinions. I think it's pretty safe to say that yes, it's trans exclusionary in the wrong way. It's designed to be a women-only app that excludes trans women and uses software that has a bias against women of colour and seemingly would be okay welcoming trans men. Therefore failed at creating a women-only space, let alone it being inclusive. It's so strange to me that somebody would set out with the aim of creating a women-only space and then not include all women. But that's just because transphobia is really strange to me and I don't understand it, so that is maybe why. It's then even stranger to me that in this desperate attempt to create a women-only space that excludes trans women, which is weird anyway, but it's then excluding some cis women and it's racially biased and it's excluding a lot of women of colour and seemingly allowing trans men and AFAB non-binary people in, and it just seems like both a combination of the beliefs of the CEO, the policy of the app, and the AI software has just led to it being a bit of a fail in terms of what they wanted to achieve. And then also just really shit creating an app that's like, this is a women-only space, no trans women. Like, that's just horrible. So yeah, that's this app in a nutshell. I kind of wanted to end on a few more reviews, so just going to read those out now. Transphobic and racist CEO. The app is fairly easy to use, a bit juvenile in formatting, but all you need is the basics. I was enjoying the community until, however, I saw comments made by the CEO that this app will purposefully exclude trans women. She also completely dismissed accusations of racism as baseless without any consideration or investigation. The app is a lovely idea, but in principle, not something I can support. Stop being bigoted in my name. As a cis woman, I find this app disgusting and bigoted. Downloaded it just to see if I'd get verified as I have a beard, a moustache, thick eyebrows and a bulky face. Seen women of colour saying they can't get it to work, and of course its intended purpose is to exclude trans women, which is just disgusting. I really wish TERFs would stop claiming to speak for me. Trans women are women and trans rights are human rights. Yes. Extreme homophobia and transphobia issue with the community. Transphobic crap that doesn't even work. It validated my picture and let me straight in. I guess I must be a real woman after all, despite what the app's founder has to say about me. Shame, a female-oriented social platform would be a lovely idea. And that's it. Thank you so much for watching this video. Let me know what you think of the app and what your interpretation of some of the things are. It basically just sounds a bit exclusionary all round. Yay! We don't like that. Leave your comments down below and think about giving the video a thumbs up and subscribing if you want to, but no pressure. And yeah, as always, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Much love. Bye!